We got another Ren reaction today, and we are going into the spiritual fourth one in the Money Game series, which is called Money Ties. Obviously, the Money Game series hit me pretty damn hard. If you watched any of those videos, I'm really not normally like that when I'm reacting. It's just, man, it was so, it was so real to just like my life experience and some of the stuff I've been personally struggling with over the last couple years and some of the really hard shifts that I made in my life. So it was very, I mean, it was almost a spiritual experience type of thing watching those. So I've been told this one isn't as intense, so that's good because I could use a little bit of a break from all that personally. So yeah, we'll see how it goes and jump in.
Godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the path and pierced themselves with the many pangs of greed.
Money makes the world go round. Money makes a pure man lawless, proud. Money makes a man.
All right, we'll do our normal vibe check in the first minute of the song here, and then we'll roll through it and listen to it. Vibe check right off the bat. This screams Beastie Boys to me. Were the Beastie Boys over in Europe much? I don't know. Like I said, I'm super ignorant when it comes to European culture, guys. Nothing insulting or anything. I know I'm very fluent in like Latin American culture and stuff like that. Like I lived in Mexico, studied abroad. You probably can read the one book back there that says Mexico. There's actually several books over here on more specific topics in Mexico and stuff in Spanish. So it's not like I'm just, you know, some dumb American that doesn't know about the rest of the world. I just have never really cared about England and like that part of the world, the UK, enough to look into it. I don't really have any heritage from there and stuff. I'm a mix of Lithuanian, Polish, German, Swiss. So like England, the UK, just never really dove into it. So, but I remember the Beastie Boys growing up, and this definitely gives me Beastie Boys, super Beastie Boys vibes. So I see why you guys were kind of saying it's not as intense, because this is obviously probably going to be on a little bit of a funner note. So at least, I mean, the beginning was obviously very poignant in the imagery and the poem that was read there. I'm not sure if that's something he wrote or if that's any kind of excerpts from famous English poets or anything like that, but let's go ahead and roll through the song, see what we think.
Money makes the world go round. Money makes a pure man lawless, proud. Money makes a man's verb consummate the noun. Cause an action to a thing is inspired by the pound or the dollar. False prophet preach profit and we follow. When the scholar teach dishonor, that's a bitter pill to swallow. The biggest bank robber are the banks and the politicians, but judiciary are whores, what a shock. When we lose sight of live and let live, forget your soul is made much richer by the love that you give. If you're living just to make a living, that's all that is. And when you're lying, slowly dying, will you die with a grin? Now digging up the root of evil, money too like a blade. You can slice across the jugular or carve and create. But when the money ain't the means, but the means is the money, you start to compromise ideals for dollars, morals get bloody. Now let me tell you a little story about a boy named Ren. Born March 1990 in the Celtic Welsh ends. We didn't have much, but mum and dad, they made enough to put hot meals on the table, fill our bellies full of love. A little sister fell into the picture. Oh my God, we loved her, made our family richer. Then we both got older, world a little colder. Life, it had a way of chipping away at that shoulder. I held her and I told her, hierarchy, status exists. Sometimes the purity of youth gets snatched, leaving you stripped. You'll learn that love is not enough, it's not a world for a kid. So toughen up and buckle up, because it's bumpy as shit. And there'll be those who take advantage of the light in your soul. And there'll be times you feel the cup you're filling leaking with holes. And that dark can get much darker, we all must grow old. But listen up, my little sister, hold these words to your close. Keep that kind heart kind, humankind are in need. Never ever let this world make you bitter like me, because this world needs love, and love it leaks from you, see. Sis, this world needs light, and you're the brightest I see. I see your wings have feather more than ever. Mine were torn by my oppressor. Sickness scorn me, but whatever. By your side we fly together. Give me flight when I could never. A releasing of the pressure, and the pressure makes a diamond. I will shine with you forever. Fuck greed, fuck depression, fuck bullies, fuck the jealous. Fuck every man who made you feel less than a treasure. And fuck a world that makes us feel small. Fuck the forces that divide us. Now's the time to stand tall, because money makes Money makes the world go round. Money makes the
That was a
sick
cool
boy
graphic.
sicker somehow. Money gets a man mug punched in his mouth. Money run the gang thug, drug money plow. Money makes open case close. Money bend law, make war, make ghosts. Money gives a poor man hope. Money saves lives, takes lives, money both. Money is, money isn't, money's just that. Money's just a concept, people are trying. Tax up the poor man, feed up the fire. Money's just, money's just, money's just cash. Take money, take money, take money, take. Fake money, fake money, fake money, fake. Money ties, money ties, money ties, ayy. Money lies, money lies, money lies, ayy.
No people, no profit. Spells profit with the religious prophet spelling. Interesting song. Definitely a lot different than the rest of the Money Game series. I don't know if I would be one of the renegades that agree that this is the fourth part of the series. Y'all might hate me in the comments, but this is such a much more uplifting message than the rest of the Money Game series. Not that it's not that the rest of the Money Game series is necessarily like depressing. It's just, I feel like those three videos are three attempts to educate on who we really are in the system that we live in, this global financial system. One being a dramatic visual, one being a dumbed down, literal, in your face, and then the last being a biographical portrait. Three attempts at the same message presented in different ways to affect different minds and souls and people with different thought processes, as we all have. And I don't know, while this one does touch on some of the same issues, I don't know. It just feels a lot more hopeful to me, if that makes sense. Not necessarily sure where that comes from yet, but that's just the vibe I get from it. I actually, to be honest, kind of hate the Beastie Boys styles. Don't roast me too much in the comments. It's just not my cup of tea. Like that style of rap. I really like this part where he kind of goes into more of a almost like spoken word.
The table fill our bellies full of love, a little sis.
This part here.
Told her hierarchy, status exists. Sometimes the purity of youth gets snatched, leaving you stripped. You'll learn that love is not enough, it's not a world for a kid. So toughen up and buckle up, because it's bumpy as shit. And there'll be those who take advantage of the light in your soul. And there'll be times you feel the cup you're filling leaking with holes. And that dark can get much darker, we all must grow old. But listen up, my little sister, hold these words to your close. Keep that kind heart kind, humankind are in need. Never ever let this world make you bitter like me. Because this world needs love, and love it leaks from you, see. Sis, this world needs light, and you're the brightest I see. I see your wings have feather more than ever. Mine were torn by my oppressor. Sickness scorn me, but whatever. By your side we fly together. Give me flight when I could never. A releasing of the pressure, and the pressure makes a diamond. I will shine with you forever. Fuck greed, fuck depression, fuck bullies, fuck the
But yeah, that's my favorite part of the song right there. I like a lot of the lyrical content in like the more Beastie Boys styles. It's just not necessarily my thing.
Money makes a pure man lawless, proud. Money.
The beat's dope though. Beat's super dope. I really like this part. It comes to me very like serendipitously too. And I'm gonna try and say this without getting emotional. But like the last thing my mom said to me was talking about my kind heart. So he has a part in here where he says something similar to his sister.
Because it's bumpy as shit. And there'll be those who take advantage of the light in your soul. And there'll be times you feel the cup you're filling leaking with holes. And that dark can get much darker, we all must grow old. But listen up, my little sister, hold these words to your close. Keep that kind heart kind, humankind are in need. Never ever let this world make you bitter like me.
Yeah, that part. And so I know many of you guys aren't, you know, religious, you're spiritual or anti-religious and everything else. And obviously even at the end of this song, there's what I would assume is like an anti-religion sentiment. And to be honest, for the most part, I agree with it. I think organized religion is just as flawed as organized politics. Discuss this a lot in the comments with you guys, but super sad to me how many people will never have a relationship with God because of their experience in organized religion. There's so many good churches out there, but for every one good one, there's 10, 20, 100 bad ones. And that's just the sad reality of it, unfortunately. Like my local church, we only have about 10,000 people in the small town I live in now in Oregon. My church is the local food bank. They have an entirely separate building that's a food bank that feeds thousands of families in the local and surrounding area. The city couldn't afford to keep the seniors living center open, so they gave it to my church, and my church now runs and operates the senior living center. They have preschool, daycare. They do nonstop events. I mean, every holiday, all throughout the summer, all of the stuff. They do events throughout the town that are completely secular, accepting, no pushing of religion, no nothing, just helping the community, giving parents a chance to socialize without being around their kids. They have recovery groups for drug addicts and support groups for people going through stuff and everything else. And this is like my small local church. Church and religion can be an amazingly beautiful thing for a community and provide far more like support and social service than the lack of those things we get from our federal government, at least here in America. But with money and power and influence comes corruption, and it comes in folds, right? And it's a sad thing, but I bring all that religious talk up not just because of the no people, no profit part at the end, but also because I felt it to share with you guys that as a deeply religious person myself and someone that clearly sees and has been in the presence of divinity and evil, one of the ways I find myself communicating with God is through serendipity. And it's crazy how we think, and when you think through the things in your life, how these weird, small coincidences, when you lean into them, tend to start to lead you down a path that you unfold and takes you to places you never thought you've been. And to me, that's part of a communication with God. And, multiple serendipitous things led me to do my reaction to Pray for the Left. That got me to do more Tom MacDonald reactions. The Tom MacDonald fans recommended Ren. That got me into Ren. I went through Money Game, which was incredibly powerful for me. Despite all you guys have seen, I don't think you can comprehend how much that series has put on my mind and my heart. So to be concluding this series with a song that parrots the last words my mother said to me on her deathbed. It's shit like this that I don't understand how people can't believe. To each his own. I love you guys. Have a great day. Let's get back to work. Keep praying. I'll see you in the next one.